Good morning. With all the media hype about the Colorado snowstorm this weekend, I wasn't sure how I would be delivering this message this morning, but I knew I would be delivering it, one way or the other. Thank goodness for technology and innovation. For this past month, we've been exploring the spiritual tool of forgiveness for ourselves and toward others. And today we ask the question, now that all this forgiveness work is done, now what? Where do we go from here after all this effort and practice? After coming to a forgiving resolution about a matter that you may have been carrying for years, that may have consumed your mental energy and emotional fortitude, you may feel a void, a sense of emptiness where the resentment and pain once resided. It can feel like an empty space, a hole that longs to be filled. The thing is to know what to fill it with. In Science of Mind, we often say that spirit loves a void, meaning that in the case of forgiveness work, as we clear out the clutter of our minds, as we get rid of bitterness and resentment, we open ourselves up. We create this tender void, a special place for something better to come into our lives. It also means that we must remain diligent with our thoughts so we don't backslide into old thinking patterns, especially the one we just took the time to heal through forgiveness. Yes, fill yourself up, absolutely. Fill the void in your mind and heart with things like love and positive affirmations, kindness, good deeds, peaceful thoughts, for yourself and for others. And be on the lookout continually for things that might still crop up, that you need to clean up in thought, word, and deed, where you need to make amends, where you can forgive, and monitor your mental behaviors, your thought patterns. Trust me, it's a full-time job. So much so that you won't have time to think about what everybody else is doing. Now, since we're in the midst of the 18th season of nonviolence, based on the life works of Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, and the Dalai Lama, I thought it would be a good idea to share some of their thoughts about forgiveness. I like this definition from Dr. King, as presented in the Papers project of his name. The question is asked, what then is forgiveness? First of all, it is a pardon. It is a fresh start, another chance, a new beginning. And B, second, forgiveness is a process of life. I love that part about it being a fresh start, another chance, a new beginning. That's the void where spirit resides and new creation can grow. But unless you and I are willing to forgive, none of that newness can begin. Unless we are willing to let go of the pain of the past and embrace the healing that begins to take place immediately, we're stuck in old patterns and ways of being. Dr. King is spot on when he said that forgiveness is a process of life. And we might get to practice that process over and over and over again, depending on how much and how often we hang on to judgments and resentments and enjoy being in a state of victimhood, where we place blame on those around us. We stay stuck in our misery, and we're not willing to do our part to heal where and when we can. Dr. King also said, we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us, he said. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies. I know without a doubt that we all have the capacity to forgive, to heal, and to love. It's just a matter of choosing to do so. It's making the decision to let go of whatever is blocking your good, your love. It takes courage and strength to forgive, too. It's not for the weak or the faint of heart. Mahatma Gandhi knew this. He said, "The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong." In Marianne Williamson's book, Everyday Grace, she explains, there is something to learn from every encounter. If someone is kind to us, the lesson is to be grateful, not to take kindness for granted, and most important, to graciously return their kindness. If someone is not kind, the lesson is to rise above that, because reacting to them is like throwing gasoline on the fire. Anger does nothing more than deplete our personal power. And then she offers a bit of advice from Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, who once said to a friend, "Only amateurs stay mad." Only amateurs stay mad. They're amateurs, they're not like you, because you continually practice to really forgive whatever offense you've been focusing on. Amateurs haven't yet learned the grace and freedom of the spiritual practice of forgiveness, of letting go of the mental weight of past hurts and pain. Amateurs stay mad. But not you. You're awake and conscious. Those who are awake and willing to forgive, really forgive, to release the emotional burden of a situation and any attachment to it, to love again. They don't stay mad. They laugh again. They shine their joy in the world and share their gifts with others. They release the emotional burden of the situation. That's what happens after forgiveness. Life begins to fill up that heart space with new possibilities. Grace repairs the differences and allows you to move forward. And you get to decide whether you take old relationships with you or not. Forgiveness does not mean that things stay the same. They shouldn't. They can't. Forgiveness is a way for you to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Whether it's something you forgive about yourself, or another person, or a situation. How much, what, and whom you take with you into the future is up to you. And it needs to be done with love if it's going to last or renew itself. If someone has harmed you so much that you no longer want to be around them, you can't trust them, maybe you don't even want to look at them because they remind you of that one painful situation, you may no longer want to be friends with them, have them active in your life. But you can still love them as the child of God that lives deep within them, at the level of the divine soul where we're all connected. Who knows? Maybe someday that will change and they will be actively engaged in your life once more. Yet it will be different. It will be after forgiveness and after healing has taken place. You will be a different person. I'll bet the other person will have changed too. Forgiveness can seem like a really big deal when you're going through it, resisting it, learning from it. And as important as it is for each one of us individually to do, learn from it and heal through it, it's not just about you or just about me. I invite you to keep your mind's eye on the larger perspective too, such as how practicing forgiveness will impact not only your life, but also those around you. In the long run, in life, how consciousness will shift and change the more we engage in this spiritual practice. You can never tell how far the ripples will go. In his book entitled The Wisdom of Forgiveness, the Dalai Lama had this to say: if we think only of ourselves, forget about other people, then our minds occupy very small space, very small area. Inside that small area, even tiny problem appears very big. But the moment you develop a sense of concern for others, you realize that just like ourselves, they also want happiness. They also want satisfaction. When you have this sense of concern, your mind automatically widens. At this point, he said, your own problems, even big problems, will not be so significant. The result? Big increase in peace of mind. So if you think only of yourself, only your own happiness, the result is actually less happiness. You get more anxiety, more fear. This tells me that refusing to forgive, to stay small, think little thoughts, to hold on to being a victim of someone else's behavior or words, to make only tiny steps in any direction, is actually an indication of my own fear, my own anxiety. I'm keeping myself small, and that doesn't help anyone, certainly not me and not you. Guy Finley, a self-realization author and teacher who lives in Oregon, has dedicated his life to showing sincere seekers the authentic path to a fearless life. I subscribed to his website, and this came into my inbox this week. He writes, "Go through any fear and come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and less afraid. Go around any fear and never come out." I'm going to say that again. Please listen carefully. Go through any fear and come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and less afraid. Go around any fear and never come out. Because all you do is go around in circles, going over the same issues in your mind and in your life. Different people, different day, same you. It's so important that we face our fears, including the decision to forgive. And once we do, and we come out on the other side, we are stronger. We are wiser. We are less afraid. We know more about ourselves and what we're capable of facing. The only thing we can do in that situation is to grow from it, to evolve, to be more of our authentic self, our authentic God nature, to express in grander and deeper ways of who we truly are. We are God sparks, every one of us. Our being here is important. We have a purpose, or we wouldn't be here. There's always something more we can be or do. Someone or some experience we can forgive or release. Some act or word that can be transformed into love. It's up to each person to practice humility and forgiveness the best we can. And the more we practice forgiveness, the more the practice becomes us. After we clear out our own issues and heal our mistakes and blunders toward others, then we can start our forgiveness work with those around us. Our spouse or partner, our children, grandchildren, friends, co-workers, neighbors, the stranger at the store who took the last bag of our favorite snack, or the guy in traffic who cut us off so he could get onto the exit ramp 1 second earlier. We can forgive the politicians for the uninformed remarks or bad decisions. the media for its sensationalized reporting on everything, the toddler's parents who didn't lock up the guns, the suicide bomber in the marketplace across the globe. Forgiveness work has no limits. No limits, folks. And if you run out of things to forgive, just read the headlines or go talk to your friends. I'm sure something will come up. It's true that we can all use a little guidance now and then with this process. Let's help each other out and make sure to add a lot of love when you do. I want to share one more writing with you. This one is from Dr. Robert Thompson, the former chairman of the board for the Council for the Parliament of World's Religions. It's offered on behalf of the Season for Nonviolence and speaks directly to our topic today. How we can take the spiritual idea of forgiveness and others like it, put them into action, and go beyond to a larger vision for ourselves and for the world. He writes, "Violence prevention requires paying attention to conflicts in their earliest stages and addressing them creatively. Long-term prevention requires seeking violence as a symptom rather than as a root cause. The way to overcome terrorism and violence at all levels is to alter the climate that allows it to grow and flourish. It is easy to delude ourselves into thinking that addressing short-term symptoms can cure what is ailing us. By confusing symptoms with causes, we are living out a dangerous collective fantasy. Global health and wholeness requires nothing less than a profound commitment to living at a deeper level, a deeper awareness of root causes. Only this commitment will empower us to build up our global immune system. Every person has a role to play in strengthening the global immune system. Every human being can become a peacekeeper, healer, mediator, and teacher of nonviolent conflict resolution. We can do this in our homes, schools, neighborhoods, religious communities, nation, and around the world. This is an infinitely greater challenge than flying a flag or singing the national anthem on key. He goes on, "We are now being called to this greater patriotism, one like that envisioned by Martin Luther King Jr., who said, 'No nation can live alone. We are tied together in a single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality.' This wisdom, this greater patriotism, is the awareness that a healed and renewed America cannot exist apart from a healed and renewed world. And history has taught us that if the people will lead, the leaders will follow." You and I cannot exist apart from the world. Whether the world is our family, our church, our place of employment, or this town. We are an interdependent world and culture. We need each other, and we need to express more compassion, more love, more kindness, more forgiveness, more oneness toward each other and in our lives every day, every day. And we need to do it right now. Take a look at whatever is bothering you. Get to the root of your own thought about it. Heal it. Forgive it. Let it go. Don't let the past be an anchor in expressing who you truly are now. Move on and step into the void of your own becoming so you can grow in consciousness, in love, in life. You are a child of the divine, a spiritual being having a human experience. That is who you are. And a life of unlimited possibilities and potential is what is next for you. Allow that vision to fill you, to fill up the void, and guide you along life's journey. May you enjoy all the blessings of life you are willing to believe, conceive, receive. And may the love and light of God within you shine brightly through all you are and do, today and always. Today's closing prayer comes from the Science of Mind textbook in Ernest Holmes. Through the mist of human fear, love gleams and points the way to freedom. I now decree and declare that I am free from all sense of bondage. I am made perfect and whole through knowledge of the real me, knowledge of the real life within me. No illusions can enter my thought. I know that there is one power, and I know that this power now protects me from all harm. As perfect love casts out all fear, so my fear flees before the knowledge of truth. It is done, and so it is.